Okay, one of the biggest questions I get, which is also a question I had when I first started training, is should you bulk or should you cut? Should you bulk or should you cut? The lack of understanding of this can leave you in a nightmarish fitness hamster wheel.
Oh shit, what is that?
The reason being, people haven't decided, they haven't made a choice, or they don't understand which way to go. And this puts their mind in this huge tug of war state where they're pulling from one side to the other. Should I bulk or should I cut? You see, what happens is you look in the mirror and you see someone you don't want to see.
What is that?
Then you look on the internet and you compare yourself to these guys who have 5 years of training or even a decade of training. And the first thing you have to understand is that those results came from being patient and being consistent over a period of time. And you have to decide which is the best road for you to take. Okay, so let's get to the bottom of things. Should you bulk or should you cut? Should you cut or should you bulk? First, I'm going to start with the guys and then we're going to get to the females. So first up, let's look at the body percentages of men. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, it's up. All right, so as you can see, we have the 1 through 4 body percent. These are your guys who are mostly on some kind of growth hormones, steroids, needle injections in the butt and things of that nature. Not knocking it, but for us natural guys, that's not for us. You know, we want to have our sex drive strong, we want to feel good, and we want our longevity and health, right? All right. So then you have the 5 to 7%. Could still be on the low drugs, but then a lot of these guys is sometimes they have a prep coming up. So they're really leaning down, they're really cutting down, and they're dropping a lot of body fat. Then you have the 8 to 10%. This is where you may want to be around. You're looking good all year round. You know what I'm saying? You can take off your shirt, you still see your 6 or your 8 pack, and you still feel good about yourself. The ladies love you, you love you, everything works out good, right? Then you have the 11 to 12%. Then you have the 13 to 15 to 16 to 19%. Now, this tug of war phase usually happens with guys that are in the 13 to 19 percentile. This is where guys look in the mirror, and when the light hits them just right, they may see a little muscle here, a little muscle there, maybe an ab or two there, right? But at the same time, these guys, they feel skinny at times. They feel big at times. They know they can be better. They want to see they six pack. So many things jumbling up in the brain where they're trying to decide which way do I go. I want a 6-pack, but I want to build muscle. This is the 13 to 19 percentile guys that you see up here, right? This is where you feel slim. Like you look at yourself, you feel slim. People may be even saying you a little bit slim.
How much do you weigh?
Are you sick?
Do you eat enough food? Where does it all go? Have you ever thought about gaining weight? Or?
Right? So you're wondering like, damn, should I pack on more muscles? But then at the same time, you still have enough body fat where you can't see your abs. So then you're thinking to yourself, should I diet? Should I cut down? You want to drop body fat. And it can become a big struggle because you're looking at these guys on the internet with the 6 and the 8 pack. You're looking at yourself, you want to build muscle because you're seeing these guys with the muscles, but then you're seeing the 6-pack, then you're trying to drop weight. So you start becoming real confused. And what happens is these guys start going on a cut to drop body fat. They see maybe other guys in the gym with muscle. So then they decide that, hey, you know what? I want to build muscle. Then they go see somebody with a 6-pack again. Then they're going back the other way to cut. And then they wind up staying in this zone of the 13 to 15 percentile. But you guys have to understand one thing. In order to build muscle, you have to be in a caloric surplus, which means that you have to take in more calories to have more energy for your muscles to grow, right? If you want to cut so you can see That six pack, to remove some body fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit, meaning that you're going to be taking in less calories in order for you to lose that body fat. And I know this can become a real big fight in the mindset of thinking about what you should do. So I'm going to help you with that right now. I recommend you guys that are 13 to 15% body fat or higher to cut first. Yes, cut first. Because if you don't, you will be setting yourself up for a longer cut later. Because when you're natural, super long cuts can be super draining. I mean, both mentally and physically. The reason being is because you're in a calorie deficit. You're not getting in enough energy. You're working hard in the gym. You're lifting weights. You're doing some cardio. You're doing everything you have to do to drop this body fat, but then you're taking in less energy. So that's why you want your cuts to be super small. And that's why you should cut first. You don't want your cutting to be a nightmare. You know, you already feel weak. You already feel mentally drained. You might lose, some people lose strength. And if you're losing strength, that means you're losing some muscle. So you want to be in a position where your cuts is no longer than 12 to 15 weeks. There are even some people who cycle 6 weeks at a time, where they cut for 6 weeks. They may go on a maintenance phase for a week, and then they get back to the cut till they get to the body fat percentage that they prefer. So again, if you're like 15% body fat or a little higher, you want to cut down to 10% body fat. Another reason you want to cut first is because the higher your body fat is now at the present moment, the higher it will be at the end of your bulk, which means that it's going to make your cut even longer. So you don't want that. It's easier to burn fat than it is to build muscle. So you want to cut first, lose all that fat, then start building lean muscle. Yes, lean muscle, meaning that you bulk slower, so you put on a less percent of body fat. You see some guys out there, they do a dirty bulk where they just gain a tremendous amount of fat. They'll just woof, woof, woof. You know, and it's gonna take them super long to cut. You don't want it to take you 6 to 7 months to cut, and then you're having another 6 or 4 months to bulk. You know, you want to look good all year round. So when you lean bulk and you're gaining lean mass because you already cut, and you're gaining your muscle mass slower, because remember, the slow wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race in this game. And you will be you will gain your lean mass, slower pace, but you will look good all year round. In opposed to somebody doing a dirty bulk, and one part of the year they fat, the next part of the year they slim, and then you're looking at them like, yo, what's going on with this person, right? Another reason you want to cut first too is you get time to work on your technique. You get time to perfect your form before you start bulking. Because remember, guys, when you're cutting, right, you're in a caloric deficit, so you feel a lot more weak. You feel a little bit drained sometimes. You're gonna have days that you don't even feel like working out, right? So what happens is your weight that you normally lift tends to get lighter, right? So this would be the perfect time to work on technique, the perfect time to perfect your form. So when you go into your bulk and you start lifting much heavier weight, you start pushing more volume, your form and your technique is so good that your gains will come faster because you're doing everything right. You're doing the right sets, you're doing the right repetitions, and your form is on top of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you on top of your form. Now, ladies, the same thing applies for you except for the body fat percentage. Let's bring you guys up. Okay, so we see the 10 to 12%. These are usually the women who are just like, you may go to the gym for 2 hours. When you get there, they're on a treadmill. The time you leave, they're on a treadmill. When you come back the next day, they still on the same treadmill. These are the people who have like that marathon runner body, where it's like they're doing so much cardio that they're burning right through their muscle mass. We don't want that. You know, you want to have all your curves and all your muscle mass in the right places, right? So now when we look at the 15 to 17% or 18 to 20%, these are the people who are normally, or even 21 to 23, these are the people who are doing a little bit of HIIT. So they're a little bit toned, a little bit slim. Now, for cutting, I recommend you ladies who are from 27 to 29 to basically cut. You know, even females, you may not really want to bulk anyway. You start increasing your calories when you're around that 21 percentile. So like if you're trying to get your gains in certain areas, so you want to be in that range. So if you're 27 to 29%, you want to be able to cut, as you can see in the picture. And also, ladies, lift weights. Continue lifting weights so you can keep your muscle mass on you and keep mass in all the right areas. Because you have to give your body, this goes for you fellas too, you have to give your body a reason to keep the muscle. So don't cut down in your diet, go in a caloric deficit, right? Where you're not getting enough energy in your body, but then you're not lifting weights. So now you're not giving your body a reason to keep the muscle mass. It's going to use that muscle mass as fuel if you don't give your body a reason to keep it. So ladies, hit the gym, lift them weights. You will not get big like guys. I don't know where that myth came from. You need a lot of testosterone for you to build those muscles. When you do see females like that, a lot of them are on drugs as well. So hit the gym, you know, do your leg workouts, your glute workouts, your quad, hamstrings, calves, you know, you're gonna keep all the mass in the areas that you prefer to keep it in, right? So that's my take on cutting, right? You know what to do now. You shouldn't be confused now. Now get started. Your gains is on the table.